Hello, everybody, and welcome to an extremely special edition of the Cabin Signal. This is our culture module, which we talk about things around the culture of the cabin and the people that make our workforce at the Get You Wired cabin in beautiful backwoods of North Georgia possible and special. As most of you know, Get You Wired is a full-service web marketing agency of 40 plus people located in the backwoods of North Georgia, close by the Appalachian Trail, and really a tourist destination. We're able to work with a wonderful quality of life in a place that's beautiful and serve small businesses across the great country of the United States. I like to say one line of code at a time. So today I have the Loebicks. Greg and April Loebick, or April and Greg Loebick. I don't want to put one in front of the other. I might have a problem. I don't want to have a problem with either of them. I'm really honored to have them because the Get You Wired culture is called cabin punk, and we live out in the woods and all. And as many of you know, I fly fish habitually, and I'm out in nature. But these two, when I look at them, and I stalk them on social media and their adventures, I am just emotionally drawn to the life that they've created for themselves. And I'm so honored that our company at some level helps finance this life. And also welcome, Greg and April. Awesome to have you. Why don't you introduce yourself and just give them the quick version of what you do at Get You Wired so we have some context there.
I'm April. I am the recruitment and retention specialist at Get You Wired, which basically means that I am almost a guide somewhat to all of the people who work at Get You Wired, from what I like to say, application to termination. So I'm there through every step of the life cycle of a Get You Wired employee. And I try to make that journey as smooth and as fun as it could possibly be.
Wonderful, thank you.
And I'm Greg. I'm Get You Wired's designer, and so my role is predominantly creating excellent user experience for our clients and beautiful aesthetic for a variety of work that ranges from print media to digital design. Pretty much, if it can be designed, I've done it for Get You Wired. So that's my main responsibility.
So true. They're both very talented individuals. April is responsible for Get You Wired's 11-part hiring process, which has really brought us the most incredible team. I mean, she's been working on this, and we've been working together on refining this process for years, but she is a designer of it and, of course, the implementer of it. So it's real important as a small business that we're hiring the right people, that our investment in training people up to where they become billable or effective members of the team have to make the right choice. It is such a critical and important role in our company. And, she understates her importance in herself. It's just like, it's a crucial role in our company, and we're really grateful for her. And Greg is the central piece for all design that comes out of Get You Wired. So when we're talking about website design, membership site design, landing page design, ad designs, everything, he either is directly doing it or is providing oversight and insights into other contractors and design elements that are going around the company. And we're talking about thousands of clients over the years that we've been honored to have him work with, and just a tremendous amount of experience, great mindset, and great ability. So imagine those two types of people that work in the same company. They're actually married. They live in the cabin in the backwoods. And today we're going to talk about, with Get You Wired culture, how they lead this extraordinary life. And I want to sort of break down a little bit of some of the components, what they're doing with themselves out in the backwoods of North Georgia, like myself, and I'm a big fan of the Loebicks. I wish there was a reality TV show that came on that was like the Loebicks. I'd be watching that. I'd be dialing in. Hopefully it would come on Netflix and I could watch all 10 episodes over a weekend, binge it. So let's talk about, you're working at the cabin, but you honor yourselves through embracing a backwoods home life and nature. And let's talk a little bit, maybe we could start with hiking, because you post on social media a lot of pictures of your hiking. What's up with that? What are your regimens? And you might even mix in hiking with kayaking, because I know you guys do the two a lot, but how does this come to be? And I think what would be interesting to our audience is, so they work hard, they have very demanding jobs, and then in their spare time, they do incredible things. What's the thought process behind that? And how much planning do you actually put into where you're going to hike, where you're going to kayak? I see you in cool places. Those places just don't pop out of the air. What's up with all that?
Sure. Well, let's see. How to begin? So yeah, it really is kind of a central aspect of our mindset. Being able to get out and adventure, right? It's oops. One second. There we go. So it's really kind of a central aspect of our mindset of being able to decompress, right? And it's like you talked about. It's a very tough line of work. And we all work at such a high level that you really need to be able to kind of unwind, to be able to keep producing at such a high level all the time. And for us, one of those aspects is being able to get out into nature, to be able to relax, to be able to kind of calm the mind and get into that flow state whatever we're doing, either it's with hiking or kayaking, being able to do something that's mindless, but also mindful. We appreciate where we are, we enjoy the nature, we kind of live in the moment with what we're doing, but it also gives us the opportunity to relax. So that's kind of, I think, what drives us, the reason why we do it, any of our outdoor activities. So that's kind of the why behind it. You want to add anything to that?
It's also a good workout too, kind of breaks up the monotony of lifting weights or going for a run or whatever. It's a great way to kind of just unwind, get some burn some calories, and just really enjoy the world that you have around you and the green space that is abundant here in North Georgia.
It also allows us to reward ourselves with bad food. That's the other thing too, because we're definitely lovers of barbecue and things that just aren't healthy for you. And so when she talks about it being an exercise, it is true. And so we go out and probably spend hours on a weekend, getting fit and healthy, and we probably just ruin it with a dinner after the fact. But still, that's the way we kind of that's the healthy mindset that we like to keep for ourselves. Anyways, those little rewards. That you want to try to achieve, these little milestones, these little goals, celebrate the small stuff. And that's really, I don't know, that's probably at the core of our life. Is since we've been married, we've always celebrated these small milestones all the way to I don't know, it just seems like a happier way to live. And so that's kind of the same thing with all of our outdoor activities. It's really about it's those little small milestones that we get to celebrate.
And you celebrate them together. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I definitely do.
I'm in the outdoors a lot, as you all know. I fly fish all the time, but my wife isn't joining me. My kids haven't developed a taste for it. So and we kayak, we float, we do things together in the outdoors. But I think it's so cool, that you all work together and that you enjoy life together. I think that there should be a lot more of that. Now, for the people out there, the couples or just individuals or everything, a lot of people have, and we even see this in our own company, not everybody is embracing the natural beauty and benefits of where we live, even within Get You Wired. You know, is there planning or something involved? How do you know what trails you're going on? You're advanced adventurers, I would say, or outdoors people. What about someone that's like hasn't gotten out, hasn't been doing anything, but with COVID and all the things going on, they're like, you know what, I really need to do that. Where would you start? Like, how would you pick a trail, or how would you even get started? Some people just don't know how to even get started in having a good time with the outdoors.
Yeah.
Well, the internet, I mean, that's
Yeah. It's kind of funny to say basic Google search will get you a lot.
There's a group on Facebook about that's North Georgia hiking and adventure, and I think there's something like 70,000 members for this group now. It's been growing by leaps and bounds since the COVID crisis hit, because people are wanting to do exactly what it is you're talking about. Learn how to go hike, you know, get out there, start on those beginner easier trails. You know, you see all sorts of people like, hey, I want to go on like a 2-mile hike with a waterfall, and then they just get like overwhelmed with the suggestions of people from all over North Georgia. Sometimes, you know, going up into Tennessee and even like mid-South Georgia as well. But there is a ton around here. You know, where we live right now is like the perfect launch spot to like hit all of these beautiful natural places. And for people who are wanting to get started, I suggest, you know, checking out the Georgia State Parks to begin with.
Yeah.
Here in North Georgia, we have about 5 or 6 within just an hour's drive. Mm-hmm. So, and then if you just want to go a little bit further, there's like 10 more. It is a great launch spot. There's plenty of national forests around here. So we got the Chattahoochee National Forest. We have the Lake Russell National Forest, and just plenty of opportunities to kind of just Google, you know, hiking trails near me. Mm-hmm. And you'll come up with a whole bunch of stuff. And there's another website called like Atlanta Trails or All Trails that you can go to. And then that kind of gives you a breakdown of the level of difficulty from easy, moderate, strenuous. They kind of give you like the elevation maps and stuff, so that you know, like, if you're going to be going up and down, up and down, up and down, or if it's nice and flat. And then there's tons of people who put their comments on there, so that you know exactly people's experience of those trails.
And those can be very helpful, because not all these trails are blazed, and sometimes people will let you know that, right? So for the beginner, you definitely want to go to, probably stick to the parks. They have usually just in and out trails, so you don't get lost. You know, there's no loops, there's no branching, and they're very well blazed. But we definitely check out some of the more abstract, because we're still finding new trails. That's what blows my mind, is when April can find a new one. We've been to just about everywhere in North Georgia, especially on the eastern side of North Georgia, maybe not so much the west or around Lookout Mountain. But the fact that she can still, again, with some of that basic research, find places we've never been to kind of blows my mind. It really lets you know how much we have here. And it's on some of those lesser known trails where you can kind of run into the dangers of getting lost or
which happened for the first time a couple of weeks ago. We were out, and in our 10-15 years of hiking around here, we actually did get lost on a trail.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, we're in Tugelo, and we went to this, or near it, we went to this a trail that we'd found, and it just so happens that there is a bike trail that splits off right from this hiking trail, or it's just a little bit down the road. And we decided, kind of read the instructions, and we took the very, very obvious trail. And what was supposed to be about a 4-mile hike turned into a 10-mile bike trail that we walked. And it was gorgeous, and we loved it, but we were dead after the fact. But luckily, we always over-prepare, which is another recommendation I would make to the new person, is there's no harm in over-preparing. Get yourself the right, shoes. Keep enough supplies on you. Don't be that one person carrying a little bottle of water thinking you're going to make it. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with being over prepared. And luckily we were over prepared, and that 10 miles was no problem, even though we weren't expecting it.
And always keep a GPS tracker on you, so at the very least you can head back from your beginning spot.
Yeah. Thank God for Map My Hike, or apps like that, or even Google Map. If getting lost these days is nowhere near as scary as it would have been 10 years ago. You can just bring up that map and kind of go, all right, I see a road. And so if nothing else, you could just walk in a cardinal direction towards a road if you needed to, if you weren't, actually mapping the hike that you had followed. So
I've gotten turned around out there a few times. I'm out in the woods a lot, and I tell you what, where it starts getting a little bit creepy is when the sun goes down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've been out there with, sometimes I find things and places on Google Maps that I just want to get to, and there's no trail to them. And so I sort of find my way to to these places. And it's been a while, but I've been caught out there with the sun going down and not knowing exactly my way back to my car. If I have time, I can figure it out. I can get my bearings and all of that sort of thing. But then it goes dark, and then it's like all bearings are off, because things that were obvious in the daylight, are different. And I'm real lucky. I've never, because of that, had to spend the night in the woods or something like that. But and then I'm not a spooky type of person, but there's sort of that,
Oh yeah.
a little bit of that, whether it's a bear or suddenly you remember, Deliverance, or never know what you're going to run into in the backwoods of North Georgia. So that's really cool. Now, on top of getting out, getting exercise, enjoying nature, planning to do that, making sure that you're, honoring yourselves, I see a lot of effort going on at home. So you have a cabin on a pond in the backwoods of North Georgia, and I see you all working pretty much constantly. So my lens into you is that, gosh, those Loebicks, they're either hiking, they're kayaking, or they're doing cool stuff to their cabin, or Greg's axe throwing, or it's like, is there really ever any time that you're like doing stuff that's not cool and it's boring? But let's talk about that. Let's talk about your house, because you do a lot of cool things to that. You really honor your space where you're coming home to. How does that play into everything?
You want to take it?
We're very much from families and backgrounds that honor and really almost idolize hard work and putting that effort into yourself, your home, your surroundings. And so we are very much do-it-yourselfers when it comes to things around the house. We are lucky enough to live on acreage that is completely surrounded by these beautiful mountain laurels. And so we were able to go out and harvest some of these mountain laurels and actually turn all the railings in our house on our porch, the ones that line the stairs going upstairs inside. And we just completely redid that with mountain laurel. And being conservative enough to, not completely destroy what we have around us, taking a little bit here, a little bit there, actually going to my parents, who also have acreage that has a lot of mountain laurel on it, and kind of harvesting from there and kind of bringing that outdoorsiness to the indoors with that. So that was one of our, I think, most proud projects, is doing that. And it's kind of humble brag. We get so many compliments on them all the time. So I'm very, very proud of that in particular. But also, we do a lot of landscaping around here. Our property is basically like this, And so we've had to do a lot of grading and kind of taming the wildness of living in a cabin in the woods, and bringing in some more color to it, some putting down a lot of like landscaping, pine straw and timbers and retaining walls and things like that, and doing everything by hand. Our neighbors out here will kind of make fun of me because they kind of drove by one day and I'm out there shoveling gravel at the same time that Greg is on a four-wheeler. Like, he's actually doing work, but they see me out there like shoveling, and he's just kind of playing around on an ATV.
Accurate.
Yeah.
That sounds like my house.
Yeah, yeah, we've kind of always, again, like April had said, we always had that mentality of making something better than the way we found it, right? This is our second home, and even with our first home, we were doing the same thing. So we built a fireplace in our first home, and this big, beautiful, I think it was like 15 feet tall with rock veneer on it. And we added that other home. Of course, we did a lot of other stuff to that home, but it wasn't a cabin. And so with the cabin, we really get it's more, it speaks to us and our speed. And so we've had even more fun just kind of upgrading it, right? Making it nicer, because we've, I kind of lost my train of thought. But as April said, there's a lot of opportunities for us to do things, because this was a kind of I think this home was built in the 80s or no, maybe 90s. It's a 20 something year old cabin. So this was just kind of a cabin kit, not a big fancy elaborate cabin. And it definitely needed a lot of upgrades. When we first moved in here, there was, the AC system was shot. The floors are completely shot. Nobody had put any love or attention into this place. The outside decks were just completely slime coated because it just had years of detritus sitting on top of it. And so neglect. This place was really suffering from neglect. I definitely wouldn't have called it a true fixer-upper. It was pretty decent, but there was a lot of opportunity for us to make it better. And so we've done that. And that's what we've always loved. We didn't need a place that was pristine right out of the gate. We look at a place and see the opportunity. We see the potential, right? And that's what we kind of go for. And we're always finding more potential. That's kind of the crazy thing, is this journey is never over. So I keep a long Excel spreadsheet of projects we've done, we want to do, potential costs. We've kind of taken the fun out of it with putting it into a sheet, but it still helps us keep track. And if anything, it really helps us see how far we've come, because nothing is more surprising than going back and looking at photos from 5 years ago and forgetting things that you've done, and forgetting the way that it used to look, and kind of going, oh yeah, I forgot that was a huge 2-week project. That was, whatever, thousands of dollars and tens of hours or whatever. Sometimes the things that you forget, it becomes background once you've sat with it for enough time. And so it's good to see. And there's still plenty more to do, but it's another thing that just kind of helps us unwind, I think, is we get to improve our own space. We get to make something we love. We get to burn energy and then reward ourselves afterwards. It really allows us to, what I call, earn the day, earn our lazy time. I don't know why, maybe I just have a twisted mindset when it comes to it, but really I have a hard time being not lazy, but even just enjoying, what would you call it? Your
leisure time.
Your leisure time, yeah. So having leisure time where you sit still, I kind of have a hard time doing that. And so if I'm doing something, or if we're doing something that burns up a lot of energy in the beginning half of the day, mentally, it's a lot easier for me to then be able to relax in the second half if I'm kind of exhausted.
See, I'm more advanced than you, Greg. I have no problem slacking from moment one in the day, but keep working on that,
Sure, I will. I said it's definitely a quirk. I will fully admit to it. There's probably something wrong going up in here that I have a hard time being able to just kind of let go. But yeah, so that's at least how personally I deal with that aspect of my personality is just kind of burn yourself out to exhaustion, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's so cool, and it's just so neat that, we work together, we're on a mission together. We're moving our company Get You Wired along together. And then especially with social media, in years gone past, you might work with someone all the time, and then you have zero lens into who or what they are in their off time. There's a lot I don't think is cool about social media, but one thing is that other than talking to Greg or April, which I do on occasion, is that we get a lens. And so as you were talking about the mountain laurel that you were doing, I have a very clear and distinct memory of seeing that project, that you were sharing with other people, like all these things that you share. I have had a lens into it. I almost feel like I've been there, and it's just really special. And it's cool when you're working together and you see people, enjoying their life and doing incredible things. And you all are really a testament to our culture, cabin punk. It's really awesome. Let's talk a little bit about Corgis. Now, you guys have something going on over there that I saw one earlier, but you seem to be not only caring for yourselves well, obviously, but caring for a small army of Corgis. So what's up with that? Where's that? How's that going? Let's hear a little bit about Corgi land.
So we have 3 Corgis. We call them the Cabin Corgi Trio. They are Beans, Twinkie, and Scotch. And they are always running around. Beans was the one who was up in my lap demanding attention while we were doing this, because we weren't giving her attention. We were looking at a computer and she wasn't having that. And so with Get You Wired being a pet-friendly office, or at least a dog-friendly office, I think I was hesitant at first about bringing them into the office, because you never know how disruptive that may be. But I remember that the first time I did it is because one of them had done something to hurt herself, and so she was kind of limpy, and I didn't want to leave her at home all day by herself. And this was before we started working from home. And so being able to take her into the office with me to keep an eye on her was a huge boon at the time. And then it kind of became almost routine, where at least once a week I was taking one of the 3 into the office and having people go, Corgis! Which is generally the reaction that we get.
Yeah.
And we do take them on our adventures. Scotch and Beans both will go hiking with us. We take Beans occasionally with us kayaking. She absolutely loves the water. She has her little life vest, and she just kind of sits in the back of Greg's boat and just chills out and jumps into the water occasionally.
Yeah.
And so now that we're working from home a lot, it allows us to give them the attention that they deserve, because I don't like the idea of having animals and leaving them for 10 hours at home all day by themselves, having to hold their bladder. And so being able to work from home has definitely increased the happiness of pet ownerdom, and being able to take them into the offices is pretty awesome as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So cool. I don't remember how I got on this tangent, and you might have inspired me, but I remember I've done some Google searches on the cult of Corgi, and I will tell you, the Corgi owners across the United States are obsessed with Corgis, and there's so many accessories, posters, T-shirts, underwear, socks, trips, special vacation trips for you and your Corgi to go and hang out with other people with Corgis. It's amazing. And you don't find that with Dachshunds, which are cool, or retrievers. It's something about Corgis that has become this wild, I hesitate to say cult-like, but it is.
Sure.
I feel kind of it's kind of almost hipster to say that we had corgis before they were cool. The first pet we got pretty soon after we got married was a corgi. Her name was Waffles, and we had her for 14 years.
Yeah.
But we got her, and then it seemed like about 5 years into corgi ownership, there just was this boom of corgis on the internet, and we're like, oh, well, cool. I guess we've made it. We're cool now.
We're trendsetters. No.
But it's the cult of the corgi. You know, we do take them out hiking, like I said, and there's been times that we'll be on particularly a busy trail. Say we're like on Blood Mountain or something, and we'll pass a group of people, and as we pass, and you know, we hear the squeals and oh, so cute. Then, as we're like switching back along the trail, we'll hear them go, I've never seen one in real life.
They really kind of have this majestic level of
Like,
whatever in the canon of the internet world.
They might have been talking about Greg, though.
yes. There's only one to Greg.
I'm here. So yeah, it is really funny to see the reaction of the people that just kind of it surprises them like it's this it's almost like a celebrity, right? You know, they see it on TV or they see it on the internet. They don't really appreciate about the, you know, it's kind of this real thing that exists. It's kind of hilarious because just to breed a dog, but we actually have had that response of somebody going, I've never seen one in real life, and she kind of lost her mind over it. Yeah, we've definitely been collectors since you said for a long time now. You said we happened into our first corgi just kind of by accident. It was back when I was in the Army and I was about to go on my first deployment, and we got April a companion animal, and it just so happened we were going to get you a Shih Tzu, and then that kind of fell through, and it just so happened there was a breeder with a corgi, and we're like, why not? It's another small dog, really, that's all we were looking for. And since then we've been hooked. They're just I'm sure like every animal, but we seem to think that these attributes belong to them more, but they're just full of personality, and each one is completely unique. But each one is it just has this robust range of personality traits, and so I think that's what's driven us to them. That's why we're hooked. Probably always will be.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I have one more question for y'all.
Yeah.
So, and you've actually inspired me. I just haven't completed my mission. I'm trying to buy a big log for my backyard to hoist up, but axe throwing. So, the world of axe throwing. Greg has like come out of nowhere with axe throwing, and apparently, like from throw one, he was like, you know, a master or something. Where did this sounds very backwoods North Georgia in many ways. How did this come about? How did you get into axe throwing? And you've got your own little setup there at your crib too, don't you?
Yeah. Well, the setup that we have here is like, it's kind of dinky because I built it out of scrap lumber that I have. And so it's one of those things that before I went full bore and bought the timbers that are actually supposed to build an axe throwing ring and actually doing it to the proper dimensions. I wanted to just build something as a proof of concept. And so the one that I've got right now is just kind of a slapdash mess. But it works, you know, axes stick to it, and that's all I really need. But it's got the rings all around it, and everything is set up. At least the target is set up to the industry standards for the most part. But yeah. Anyway, so how I first got started was, again, it wasn't long ago. It's not like I've been doing this for years. It just I'm not somebody who has too many hobbies. But we just decided to. We visited, or no,
it was a birthday party.
It was a birthday party. We went to a birthday party of somebody. To an axe throwing place. It's just down the road. It's in between Helen and Cleveland, and yeah. And so we went to this birthday party and we were having a good time. And as it turned out, my first game, I was throwing, and other people's axes were bouncing off the walls, and there was many near misses of feet getting clipped by axes. And within my first, say, second throw, I was able to start sinking the axe. Right, it was actually hitting the wood. Granted, my aim wasn't great at the time, but still, apparently, that was a bit of an accomplishment that I didn't know. And at the first game, I think my scores were in the mid-20s. And then by second game, my scores were in the upper 30s. And then by my third game, my scores were like 50. And to put it in perspective, I think the maximum score of axe throwing is 64, I think is what it is. And so, you know, for a first-time axe thrower, having scores in the 50s, even in the low 50s, was apparently impressive enough for the owners of this place to say, hey, we've got a league. Do you want to be a part of the league? Because a lot of our guys that are in this league, their average is about in the mid 30s. And here you are hitting upper 40s, low 50s. You know, and it just for your first time, you've never even had practice. You know, you've not been doing this for a long time. So I think that you could get pretty good. And I was like, sure, that sounds awesome. The league thing didn't really happen, unfortunately, not yet, because they had already been in the season. He was basically telling me about another season or another league that's going to be opening up later, but that didn't happen due to COVID. So I haven't joined the league yet, but I very much look forward to doing that. So that's what led me to eventually create my own board. It's like, well, if I'm going to do this, if I want to get serious about this hobby, I need to go ahead and practice. And so that's where I just kind of grabbed some of my scrap lumber, and I did some basic research because, you know, again, all the schematics, all the details are on the internet. It's easy enough to find from the World Axe Throwing League, and you know, you can slap together your own board fairly easily. And so I think, you know, you're supposed to make them out of 2x10s. Mine are made out of 2x6s. So I actually, you know, to get the same dimensions, it doesn't actually work out exactly right. So now that I have my proof of concept down and I've had that board up there for a while, I'll probably invest and get myself all of the proper materials to be able to build a industry standard or a league standard board. And then maybe I'll invest in some fancy axes too, because right now I've really just got the $12 Cobalt, you know, anything that you can get from Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever. That's really all you need, as long as the blade is thin enough to be sharp. You know, it's sharp enough to stick into a plank. That's all you need.
Well, you're having fun, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not an axe throwing expert, though. I hope to get a setup at home and take some pointers from you. But I am a axe dodging expert. After having been married for 15 years to a woman that has a tendency to be disappointed with me, well earned, I've learned to dodge axes, scissors, leaf blowers, and all sorts of things can be hurled in my direction. So, you know, at least, you know, if I was going there and an axe bounced back,
Yeah,
you know, I'd be back.
It keeps you nimble.
Well, that's just incredible. You know, I think you all are beautiful and extraordinary people. We're so honored to work with you at the Get You Wired cabin. I appreciate you spending some time with us this morning, and I appreciate you sharing with, you know, our audience, you know, just some of the, you know, the cool stuff. It's like they plan their lives around having fun, about accomplishing certain things. There's vision involved in it. As much vision as we put into the workplace, like our calendars and everything is structured and very regimented in work, if we took half of that structure and applied it to what's important in our off time and our personal time, and really honored that personal time, we could all achieve things like Greg and April have, our own version of it. We all don't want to be Greg and April's, but we have our version of what they are, which is, you know, which is beautiful and excellent. So thank you all for being with me today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having us.
All right. Dobbin with the Cabin Signal. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all those special places. A lot of good information coming out to you from industry professionals, top industry experts in SaaS and automation, and then a lot more cultural stuff with Get You Wired. Be sure you follow us, be sure you like us, and be sure you comment on what you think about what we're putting out there. So thank you for joining the Cabin Signal today, and we'll see you again soon.